Hey guys, this is your host JP, aka The Demon, for Lit Literature. We've got a really fun sidebar episode that we're going to release while we are editing the Oathbringer episodes. And they are kind of a mini-series called The History of Westeros. This is History of Westeros Part 1. We've got several parts. They're a lot of fun. Obviously, the topic of discussion is the world of Westeros, or, well, I guess I should say the entire world of George R.R. Martin, because we talk more than just Westeros, obviously. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's interesting. We bring in a special guest, pretty knowledgeable things, and feel free to send us questions that you want us to investigate, look into. We could even ask live our Song of Ice and Fire historian, so to speak. So without further ado, cheers. And we're live, back again. This is your host, JP, aka The Demon, for Lit Literature. And we have a special segment today, which we'll bring to you occasionally throughout the summers and winters of our living life predicaments.
And winter is
winter be cold.
Winter is leaving right
Winter
now.
be cold.
Yeah, so here you've got myself, our special guest, new member of the Shoutouts, The Rye, a.k.a. Mitch. He is our certified, extra certified, and I don't know. I didn't even know what to call it, but he's definitely our Westeros historian here.
Would you like me to list off my credentials?
Yes.
Okay. So my credentials, as they are, anybody can top this, but I started reading A Song of Ice and Fire back in the days when you'd go to a bookstore.
What?
So, that's how I found out about it. I was in the fantasy section, and that was one of the cool things about bookstores, for all the young people who don't know, was you would run into people in the same section that you're reading, and you'd talk about books.
That's
And,
true,
right.
it did happen.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Still does occasionally, but you have to go a pretty long distance and find the only large bookstore that still exists. Which is
Match that, Bezos.
Yeah. So anyway, I was a sophomore in high school, must have been 2002, 2003. No, I was not there at the beginning, which was 96. I would have been 9 years old.
Ben was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know Ben was. But, so I'm a huge nerd, really into it. I've read everything that's been published by Martin, talking about the world of
I
Ice
even
and Fire.
borrowed some comic books from you.
Oh, yeah, dude. I've got copies of everything, and yeah.
I even have a Game
And from
of
what I
Thrones,
understand, there's actually quite a bit of side stories in the Westeros
Dude,
world,
he can't
right?
stop writing
yeah.
side stories.
Dude, they're so good.
Yes, they are.
Okay, tell me that the world is not a better place with Dunk and Egg in it. Like, tell me you didn't want to know about the Dance with Dragons, and then tell me when you found out who Prince Daemon was that you weren't like, oh my god, that's the baddest motherfucker ever. I need to know more about him.
Dude, you lost me at Prince Daemon. I forgot.
JP, you...
I know.
Man,
It's been a while.
Some of this
I'm
might
trying to
be
get
spoilers for me.
I'm trying to get my head out of Ready Player One's asshole right now, and get
It's a good
back
place to
into the
be.
game.
I don't mean to pull you out of it.
All right, guys. I
Jeff's
think
deep in the
we need to
Oasis
start
right now.
with. Let's start with exactly who we were just talking about.
Oh, Prince Daemon?
Yeah, Prince Daemon. But wait. But as a preface,
for the ones that didn't read all the side stuff, where are you what books are you pulling from mostly for this?
So there were two anthologies that were put together 2 years ago, I want to say, and they came out in pretty quick. Or I don't know if they came out in quick succession, but when I found out about them, they came out pretty closely, one after the other. Right. The first one was Dangerous Women, and that was the story of the Dance with Dragons.
Okay.
That's the huge Targaryen civil war where they literally killed off all of their dragons.
Yep.
It was between Aegon II and his older sister, who was she was supposed to have the throne. Her father had everybody around him, he had all the lords swear to uphold her claim to the throne. So when Aegon raised his banners and said, I'm king, they got into a huge civil war, and
naturally
a bunch of things died.
And
anyway,
wait, as a reference point, when we take Aegon II, how do we compare Aegon II to what's the most recent living Aegon in our...
Aegon the Fifth.
The Fifth, which
who is the father to
Night-
Jaehaerys, which is the grandfather to Daenerys.
Got it. Thank you.
So
That's perfect.
by the way, I didn't need to look into a book or anything like that. I just know this
It's
shit.
just in there.
We said you have credentials. He has a Westeros diploma, bitches.
Oh, man,
a few
I wish.
links on those chains.
If I
a few, a lot.
If I could get a PhD in fucking Westeros, I would have totally taken that instead of business.
And that's why you're here.
He's balls deep in the old gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, not a bad place to be.
He's even got a North Remember shirt on.
Yeah.
It's happened. I did actually select my Game of Thrones goblet for my wine.
For today's drinking.
For at least part one of today's drinking. So back to the story. Let's do it.
Yes. So the first one that came out was Dangerous Women, followed by Rogues. And Prince Daemon is the uncle and husband to Rhaenyra. And the one thing that I will point out, this is a side note, I'm going to butcher a lot of these fucking names. But, like, I know each character from which one's which.
And don't feel bad because we butcher names sometimes and we even audiobook.
Yeah.
So less of an excuse.
I've been audiobooking recently, and it's so awesome because you know how all the narrators are unreliable?
Yeah.
Roy Daltrece, I believe is the guy.
Awesome.
He mispronounces names according to character. So he'll intentionally say something wrong. When I know that this is not how it's pronounced, he'll say it differently, which just shows the depth that this guy is willing to go into. So, hey, shout out to that guy.
Yes. He is awesome.
Yes,
He is. Or was.
Yeah. Sadly, he just recently passed away.
No.
And
I know.
Brett and I both talked about this, but he has the world record for the most audio voices captured.
Yeah.
Really?
Because of these specific books.
Yeah.
And
so many
he also, for you guys, he had a cameo in the show, and he was the guy, the maester in the dungeon setting up the wildfire for the big explosion.
Oh, shoot.
Are you
That's
sure he was a
awesome.
maester and not a pyromancer?
Or maybe pyromancer.
Yeah.
But he was that guy down under messing around with, and I think he did die in that particular, I think his character got blown up by wildfire, or dragonfire, or whatever that's called.
Yeah, because
So-
people are really looking for that character.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was a great cameo.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And
That was the biggest death shock for me of the whole series.
yeah.
Really? You didn't? I mean,
Oh, I'm just kidding.
it was a great episode.
He's
Don't
like-
get me wrong. But
Oh
like,
yeah, the episode was great, but I don't know who that character was. He's just some dude
Yeah.
setting up wildfire.
Really cool though. I'm glad they got him a cameo in there. So
Yeah, before he passed.
I am sad that when the new books come out, we're gonna have to
Switch
find
gears,
a new
yeah.
audiobook guy. So
Hopefully they can find somebody that can stand up.
at that level,
Yeah,
woo,
man,
it's
he
gonna be
was
tough,
amazing.
but I hope they can do it. Maybe they'll hire Michael Kramer and Kate
Yeah.
Reading.
Well, they have probably another 10 years to find someone. So
That's
Yeah.
true.
Hey, for the record, I would prefer him to take his time and get
Me
it
too.
right as opposed to doing Robert Jordan. Not that World or Wheel of Time wasn't amazing, but you can get scope creep, man.
Yeah.
It is just, it's such a thing. You don't think about it, and I would prefer for him to get it right and be concise. So
I agree.
I'll-
Jeff and I have had
Yeah.
conversations about that, and I'm just like, man, whatever creative process he needs to do,
Dude.
as long as it's good.
Yeah, I mean, we already know the ending.
Yeah.
It's not going to be happy. It's going to be like, oh, and the ashes fell with the snowflakes, and
Yeah.
you couldn't tell the difference, and a blue rose rose from the ground. Like,
Yeah.
that's,
As Jon Snow breathed his last.
yeah, exactly. Like, I have no attachments to any characters
Again,
anymore.
by the way. Again.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
So I was gonna say I at first I struggled with that, but then as I just knew this kept getting delayed and delayed,
Yeah.
I finally just decided I'm gonna enjoy the show as the show, and I'm gonna enjoy the book as the book, and I know they're gonna be different, even if they end near the same spot.
Yeah.
the journey to get there is gonna be night and day.
Dude, just
so.
look at this last season. Look at how much they squeezed into like 10 episodes.
They're going
it's like, Well, I mean, okay.
They have enough
we're gonna
material,
go
by the way, to have like another 10 seasons.
They could have split the third season into 2.
Easily.
Jeez, anyway.
I actually thought my original theory on why they were like shortening the last seasons was I thought that they were going to do 2 shortened seasons to be this next book, and then they were going to do like a trilogy of movies to be the last book, so that would give them time to come out. So I thought they were going to have like a break or something like that, but it seems, based off of things that we're hearing, that it's just going to be the last season.
Yeah.
Which I agree with you now, and I say, George R.R., we're waiting, but just get it right. And also take lots of notes. Just in case.
And redo that pool a few more times.
You do know that the Jordanes of Tor are a reference to Robert Jordan and Tor, the publisher.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a house in
yeah.
Thorn.
Cool.
If you guys did not know.
I did not.
Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs. Like he did, he put in, Patriot, Belichick. He made a reference to Belichick, which was awesome. He was an undefeated general he was a tiger of Volantis, which is a political party, and he was like big into battles, and he won every single battle until a giant bit off his head. Is in reference to
Giants.
the Giants
off his head in the Super
in their
Bowl.
perfect season. So yeah, he put it. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking depth. If you didn't know, there's a lot of depth into it. There's a lot more hidden.
He
depth
has
that you don't.
always said the Patriots are the Lannisters of the NFL. Regularly.
So they're about to be burned root and stem.
I got a feeling that might happen.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to this
Yes.
Prince here.
Oh, Prince Damon. Yeah.
Yes.
So we talked about Dangerous Women. There was an anthology that came out afterwards, Rogues. And when you read about the Dance with Dragons, Prince Damon was a very prominent character. He was brilliant as a commander. He was a good, he's awesome, and he's super cunning. But the book that came out afterwards is Rogues, which is about his life when his brother ascended the throne. So
now, do you start that book? You don't realize that he's Prince Damon.
No, you know.
Oh, you know
Prince
it right
Damon.
away.
It's all of this stuff is written down as if Maester wrote it.
Got it.
So
Awesome.
That's kind of
pretty
the
cool.
and it's the same thing. There's a new book that came out. Oh, and I'm sorry I don't know the name off the top of my head, but something to do with swords, and it follows the reign of Aenys the First and Maegor the Cruel, and that's the last one that I think he's written that's been published recently.
Yeah, he definitely has, and he stated that he regrets ever having a series so long because he gets writer's ADD. He loves the world so much, he wants to write all of this stuff.
Go for it,
I don't
man.
blame him.
Yeah. Dude,
I don't blame him. It's a huge, huge world.
One of those two.
Book of Swords.
Book of Swords. Okay. For folks,
I knew it had to do with swords.
check out those books because then you'll become more educated than us, but not as educated as the Rye.
The Rye.
Mitch the Rye.
Mitch the Rye. Although right now Mitch the Rye isn't drinking rye. He's drinking a martini.
What can I say? I've been on a little bit of a martini
kick.
and it's been good.
That's
can't knock
That's
it.
good. They've been treating me well.
All right, so I think we're gonna start this. So, folks who are listening, every time you see some notification of a Westeros history segment coming, feel free to Twitter or Facebook comment on the website when we get that going, or and basically any social media. Just send some questions, and we will ask Mitch the Rye, the Westeros historian, anything that you guys want to know, and we'll cover that.
Also, my answers, they might not be perfect. They're just my own literal interpretation. I spent over an hour trying to think about how tall Aegon the Conqueror was. This is strictly opinion, but I'm thinking that he was just shy of 6'6", because he was taller than most men, but he wasn't noted as being a giant. And I think that in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, they make a point to talk about really tall people being about 6'6".
So out of that, let's put a reference to it. Mm-hmm. So the Hound is noted at 6'7", 6'6".
6'6".
Okay, and then his
And
brother,
so
the Mountain.
And so is Robert Baratheon.
Baratheon was 6'6",
And then
was,
his brothers are just a little bit shorter than him.
Right.
Brianna Tarth is just a little bit shorter than that. So Bran's over 6 foot, smaller than 6'6".
Right.
So I would put him at about Brianna Tarth's height.
Okay.
And
And then how about the Mountain? He was over 7. I know that.
Yeah. I don't know. He's
Shack-sized.
Giant fucking monster of a human being. I mean, fuck, look at who plays him.
I know.
I mean, the guy
That's a good
lifted
point.
how much, and he took 7 steps. I mean, the historical thing that he was trying to break, the Viking broke his back lifting a mast after this, and this guy managed to do 7 steps. Like, he's fucking huge.
Yep.
And Gregor Clegane's bigger than that.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. He's big. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. So, all right. Let's go some questions. Brett, what do you have that's making you curious about this world?
I mean, nothing off the top of my head. I'm
Nothing
sure I
you
have.
wanna
I'm sure I
anything?
have tons. But
right.
nothing. You did not let me know. You got to stop doing the impromptu questions.
Yeah.
Just, I want you to ask. I want you to ask what you're curious about.
Well, Jeff, what are you curious about?
Let's see. I'm curious about.
Unfortunately, most of my exposure to the story though is through the show.
But that's okay.
So I don't
still,
know
too.
exactly
The show
how
is
much
pretty
they tie to it.
honest in terms of like history and stuff like that. So I
Right.
think that you're fine. How about this? Let's go. I want to know some history of the North.
The
you know
North,
much?
you know, it's a little bit stark and sorry.
I know that.
But like the really cool thing, like ancient history, you know, you go back to the old gods and that whole religion. You know, that's men coming over from the arm, or, you know, that was later broken, and warring against the children of the forest, and them coming to peace with, like, you know, again, understanding that this religion with werewoods is a real thing. And again, the werewoods, we can talk about that. That's definitely a hive mind, in my opinion.
Let's do that. I'm curious about werewoods.
So I don't know how they work. Like, they don't really go into depth, but I do think that there's a network of trees that we're clearly seeing with Bran.
Yep.
You also see it with the prologue in A Dance with Dragons, with the skin changer who's wounded.
Yes.
When he dies, he talks about becoming one with the werewood, becoming one with the land. You know?
Yep, I
And
remember that, actually. That's right.
Because I totally zoned out about that.
Yeah.
You know, I generally skip the prologues.
The werewood are those the trees with the faces? Or
Yes.
Are they, okay.
Yep. White trees. They've got carved faces on them, and they're like a hub for the network that is the land.
Okay.
And skin changers can be a part of it. Anyway, as he died and was searching for the body that he was going to next inhabit, he kind of went beyond and saw the whole land for what it was, and like especially right around the werewood. And then he found his way into the wolf that he was going to inhabit.
Right.
But yeah, so
Correct me if I'm wrong. That was the guy who was being a pain in the ass for Jon Snow.
Oh, yeah,
earlier in
Vimir
the book,
Sixskins?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah, he's a huge dick. Like, I don't shed one tear for him dying. Like, I feel bad about his origin story, but like other than that, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you were kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So your favorite house?
Favorite
Baratheon.
house? Oh yeah, Baratheon.
I
So
mean, you are a Baratheon.
I fucking wish. Nothing would. I would be the most literate and smart Baratheon that ever existed. But so I'll go on record. My favorite character of all time is Robert Baratheon. Very, very shitty king. Okay, I can't defend how lazy and how much of a bum he was. But here's the thing: I know myself. If I was king, that's what I'd be doing. Drinking? Fuck yeah.
Yes. I don't mean to honor you.
Yeah.
I need you to run my
Drinking,
kingdom up.
pouring, eating, like, yeah, I'll take another roast boar. Like,
Yeah.
give it to me. But anyway, I really liked him. In my opinion, I don't think that there's any warrior that could have withstand him when he was on the Trident. And what I mean by that is he might not have been the greatest warrior of all time, but you can't tell me that if you stole his woman and he was fighting a rebellion to get the woman back, like that anybody, I don't care who it is, in that moment, if you took his woman, that fucking rage that's like through the roof at this point, and it's already pretty high because he's a Baratheon.
Right.
Like, he would have been fucking unstoppable.
Yeah.
So again, I could be wrong, but I don't know.
So I've got some questions.
Well, history kind of proves that you're right, doesn't it?
Yeah,
A little bit.
He did smash Rhaegar Targaryen in the fucking chest.
The greatest
Oh.
force the world has basically ever seen. Nobody could fight the dragons. Although I guess the
I'm
dragons weren't
sorry.
really around anymore.
No, they weren't around, but fuck Rhaegar. He's the first emo. Like, I can't shit on Rhaegar enough. Like, really, this guy.
Wasn't he handsome? That's
Who gives a fuck? Dude, you're the prince of the realm. You have no right to be deprived. Like, you get to do any fucking thing you want. But no, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna steal somebody else.
Westeros.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what he's known this for now, and we apologize for all of you Rhaegar fans out there, but he is now. He just has the name, the first emo of Westeros.
I might have to come to Rhaegar's defense a little bit in this rant. We'll see.
Go for it. Go for it. No,
no. We gotta hear the rant
Just
first.
only the part. I don't know exactly where you were going with it, but only the part about stealing someone else's girl. I feel like
whatever. So that
there.
part, he fell in love. She ran off with him.
Yeah.
That's absolutely how it went down. But like, okay. At what point do you put your parents in a mental institution? You know, like senility and fucking going crazy. He didn't do anything to fucking address that. So he was shirking his fucking responsibility.
Yep.
He didn't fucking.
And
when Robert rose in rebellion, it took until the fucking trident for Rhaegar to get up off his fucking ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know
That's
what?
true.
Do you think that Ned would have kind of similar things if someone in his family went crazy? Like that the honor of respecting the line would get in his way of actually doing the right thing?
No, I think that Ned is somebody who will do the right thing and not forsake honor, but let his honor take a back seat to doing the right thing. And Jon Snow's proof of that.
Yeah.
You know, he wore that
that's
stain.
true, yeah.
And it was not.
That's a great point, and actually something that I think about a lot, and I didn't think about it very hard until you just mentioned that, is how, like, nobody stopped the Mad King.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Except for Jaime eventually, but it was late.
No.
It's still, he stabbed that son of a bitch, though.
And Jaime's finest hour. Like, really, that was his finest fucking act.
Jaime definitely has a history of being a prick, but I always kind of felt like he got a raw deal with that. Like
he did.
He did.
That followed him around forever.
You know, and I will say this to the show's credit, I never read it the way they had Nicholas, and I'm gonna butcher the rest of that name, so I'm not even gonna go do it.
Flamel.
But yeah. Their interpretation where he was like out of it, loopy, and crying and sitting there like, by what right do you have to judge me? Like, I never read it like that. It wasn't sat there, and I thought that was hands down the best interpretation I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that was
good.
very different from my own. But yeah, like, I don't know. What do you do with crazy? You know?
I know.
And he really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back
He's
to
just waiting his turn. You're right, and you know what? It waited too long because shit might have been totally different.
Yeah.
If they had said, "All right, Mad King, it's time for you to retire."
Well, and it's so funny. Like I've been, thinking about like the yin and the yang, right? And if you look at Jaime Lannister, it's like, okay, he's the black with that little bit of white. Like nobody really knows that the white, the motive behind killing, oh my God, Aerys II, was it was noble.
Yeah.
He didn't want the whole fucking city to go up in flames. He saved a bunch of people, which is following his vows as a knight.
Yep.
Not his vow to the Kingsguard.
Yeah.
And then you look at Barristan Selmy, whose, greatest act was single-handedly rescuing Aerys from Duskendale.
Yeah.
And, that was a really, really good thing, but it kept the Mad King on the throne.
Yep.
So there were, what kind of consequences were there because of that?
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. That's actually, there's some good, really, really good stuff there. That's what makes these books so intriguing is the characters. And I don't know how George R.R. does it, but he could get into so many different characters' heads.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
I find some of the most intriguing things about real life and art to be the gray areas of it.
Yes.
The things like I don't really believe in binary. I don't believe anybody's all good or all bad.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think that we all have varying degrees of both, and he really plays with that.
Well, and that's
perfectly.
how I know that, like, the Lord of Light, that whole religion is a false religion.
Yeah.
Like, not, I don't mean false, like, clearly it has power, but, like, it's not the central driving force of the universe.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the adhering to the old gods. Like, again, very clearly it's real and it's something, but, outside, the werewolves are only found on Westeros, apparently.
Right.
I've never heard anything to contradict that, so... Again,
and so clearly it has something to do with maybe the native land that is Westeros, the children of the forest.
I was about
and
to
we're
say,
growing with
is it
them.
possible that it's like not even God related at all? It kind of turned into that, and it was just like a practical thing that the children of the forest kind of like they like grew. I mean, it seems to be almost like a surveillance system of the land, like they could tap into it or something.
There's just so much there. Again, they talk about how time doesn't really apply to trees when you think about it. Like werewolves live forever as long as they have water and as long as they, there's the acorn, there's the tree, and then there's the stump. I don't know if it's the stump, but the stages of a tree.
Yeah,
so
I get what you're saying. That's super, super interesting. I really like that point that was brought up because I've always been kind of neutral towards Rhaegar, and when you bring that up, I just feel like, yeah, you know what? At some point, I'd have to put Dad down or whatever, put him in a mental institution.
It wouldn't be that hard to
him.
sit there. I mean, just go talk to the White Knights and be like, look, we're not going to kill him. We're not going to overthrow him. We're going to take him and we're going to put him in Dragonstone. And one of you, we'll send 3 of you guys.
Yep.
And you guys got to take turns babysitting him.
Literally.
Which, as it turns out, would have been better for him as well. Because the alternative is war and death.
And for the people.
Fracturing the realm, getting your whole fucking family killed.
Right.
And,
then again, if that happened, we wouldn't have...
he's the downfall of his house.
He is.
I'm sorry. I don't know why people sit there and are so fucking... Oh, he's misunderstood. He was such a good guy. Yeah, he was a great fucking guy who burned his house to the fucking ground.
I mean, kind of, you could say that about Ned.
Yeah.
Kind of true. Yeah.
But, I mean... I think Rob is more of a factor than anything. For sure. I love Rob. I wished him well in his rebellion, but dude, you didn't do good.
No,
you should have never married Jane Westerling.
Well, you know what?
And you shouldn't have taken the Riverlands.
And so to be honest, and for those of you who are pure readers, for pure show watchers, you obviously know. Brett, I don't know if... Did you get through book 3?
No, I only got the first 2 books.
So, interestingly enough, the marriage to Jane Westerling was significantly more brutal in the books than it was in the show.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, folks... spoiler alert, if you haven't read it.
If you're listening, that's your fault.
As you know, because
just assume this whole thing is a spoiler.
Yeah. We don't hold back. Whatever's out, we've probably read it, and if you haven't, you should probably not listen. Or listen and not care. But either way, it's kind of different because, in the show, they wanted her to be just like, oh, Rob's just marrying down. But in the book, she was a plant by Tywin Lannister. That whole setup, right?
I don't know. I don't think she was a plant.
I think that they indicated that she was a plant.
That he was informed of it, and that the mother was working with Tywin. Yes.
Well, okay,
but
daughter
Tywin did
know,
not
but
sit
the
there.
The family
and
knew, but the daughter didn't, right?
No, I think it organically happened. Them getting together and getting hitched.
Oh, Tywin took advantage of it. Because
I
I'll
bet they reached out.
There's a whole scene where Tywin talks about the letters that they had back and forth, right? Because in the book she lived after Rob died.
But okay. So that could have been in reference
His
to
wife did?
Yes.
Yeah.
She didn't die at the Red Wedding?
Oh no.
In the books, really?
Yeah. In the book she's alive and she's on her way to it's either home or Casterly Rock. But she can't get married for 3 years.
Oh dude. I'm sorry, but it's way cooler the way they did it in the show. That was fucked up.
Wow. You're one of those purists who wish they had that last scene in it, right?
I mean, it was messed up, but it destroyed me when I saw it.
Inside joke, folks. Wait for when we do our episode on it.
Yeah. But no, my favorite was they killed Tywin Lannister on Father's Day. I remember watching it with my old man, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. This episode's gonna end. And so he gets shot, and then it cuts to the fucking title screen, and I look at my dad and I go, Happy Father's Day.
I gotta tell you, the show has done some amazing things on the reveals, of crazy stuff that happens in the book. And other ones, they don't have to even do because there's literally so much of that crap in the book.
Yeah.
There's so many more in the book, even like that one time the spider shoots Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude,
that was pretty cool.
Kevin's still around, right? In the show, or did he go? I forget.
He was blown up in the.
Oh, he blew up in all these.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think.
Which we don't know if that's going to happen or not in the books.
that it's going to be a huge wildfire explosion. No, the whole thing's going to backfire literally on Cersei.
Yeah.
And she's somehow going to get away with it. But I don't know. I think there's going to be a trial by combat. Cersei's going to get out of it. I think Marjorie isn't.
That's pretty cool. We could almost take a few Brett bets on like where we think.
Side bet?
We should definitely do that before the new season comes out next year.
We'll do that. We'll save it for an
season
episode.
episode.
Do. So what we should do is actually, sorry guys that we're planning this on live, on air, but guess what? Now you know as we know.
That it's coming.
As I think that we're probably going to have to do, as we like to do, a little bit of a marathon, watching marathon before the next season. Mm-hmm. And then I usually, before the books come out, I like to do a reading marathon. Mm-hmm. And I think that those are good opportunities to do massive Brett bet episodes where we're just going to be like, okay, I just read the books again. They're going to do this. They're going to do this. They're going to do this in the show. Yeah. Or show to book. Is that what happened in the show going to happen in the book, et cetera, et cetera?
That's one of those things. Even after being as much of a fan as I am, I'm really in the dark as to what's going to happen next season.
I know, that's what's great.
I'm completely like up in the air. Like I knew this was going to be a season of like consolidation.
Consolidation. Yeah, I agree.
Daenerys was going to establish herself.
Yeah.
I knew that. Jon being king in the north. That kind of took me by surprise. I
that
don't think that's really going to happen.
That
honestly did to me too.
I do have a theory on how it's going to end, but I might change that if I watch it again all the way through. But I actually think that I don't think Daenerys or Jon Snow are going to end up as rulers. I have a feeling that
they're going to die.
I think that they're either going to... Yes, I think they're going to probably die. And I think that Tyrion is going to end up kind of uniting the kingdoms again as separate kingdoms and rule through like a bureaucracy.
The thing about that is, again, going back to the miscast, like a lot of the people that are the best really aren't that great, and a lot of people that are the worst really aren't that bad. And I think that applies to Tyrion. And I think Tyrion realizes that he can never rule in his own right outside of Casterly Rock.
I don't think he'll be a ruler. I think he'll bring back the separate kingdoms.
Put it back to the seven
and play the game in that system.
Yeah,
because he seems to be good at that. At least
he is
advising and doing stuff like that.
No, he's absolutely a wise ruler, and he's a very talented individual. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see. Again, this is where I don't want to get myself into trouble. Like where you sit there and you're like, okay, I have this theory. This is gonna be great, and then it doesn't even like they don't even brush it close. And you're like, God damn it.
So let's take it back to the history side of things then.
All right.
I want to know, let's see. I want to know a little bit of just, I don't know, in your mind, kind of the easy version of Targaryen history coming over.
Oh, okay. So coming over. So it's really interesting to note that they were not the most powerful Valyrian family. They would have never left Valyria had Daenerys the Dreamer not had her prophecy. But also, if they were in a position of power, I mean, that was ancient Rome. If you were one of the great families and in a position to make yourself an emperor, you would have never left.
So, out of question, real quick, talk about the prophecy again, because I need some memory refreshment. Or what brought it forward.
Daenerys the Dreamer. Okay, yeah, Daenerys the Dreamer. She foretold the doom of Valyria. Like
that's right.
12 years before, 12 or 14.
And that kind of spurred on. They're like, all right, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So there were,
but also they weren't a power family. So
they were a really powerful family. So
but
they
not
were
one of the biggest.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Debatable.
Are you talking about numbers? Because we don't really know a whole lot about Valyria.
Power. I think we're asking about power.
Okay. Again, this is where it gets a little bit. Not sketchy, but a little bit unclear and hard to
He needs
explain.
More archaeological evidence?
No, not that. So there were only 40 families that were dragon riders, and they basically ruled as a council. I don't know if it was straight democracy.
They're like
or
Rome
how it
Senate.
Yeah, exactly.
Something
so
like
you're
that.
influenced and all this other stuff. So they were the highest of the high as far as families could go. Now, out of those 40, they were not the most powerful.
Right.
So they were on the lower end of the totem pole. And so when they found out that, oh, hey, this is going to come to an end, they did ship off to Dragonstone. The Valyrians of Driftmark And the Celtigars of Crab Isle are also from Valeria.
Really?
Yeah.
The Celtigars.
I'm not sure about
Crab-
the Celtigars, but I'm 100% positive about the Valerians.
Cool.
They definitely are of a Valerian noble family, but they didn't ride dragons. They weren't dragon riders.
Now, where are geographically on the map? I should go pull out our map. Where are those locations?
Very near Dragonstone.
So they all kind of fell into the same Dragonstone area. Okay.
Yep.
That's. I just wanted to make sure.
And Dragonstone, I don't. It wasn't created for the Targaryens. I don't think. I think
No, I
that was
think
one of
they
the things
took it
about
out.
having. Yeah.
Didn't they take it? It was
I think
there?
so. So it was an outpost for Valeria, and then I think one of those privileges that they got to have for being one of the 40 was like, okay, I'm moving here. Take my stuff here. You know, my villas and whatever you want in Valeria. But we're moving. You know, we're relocating. So.
Oh, so Valeria was in the
It's in the
same
other
area.
continent.
Yeah, it's not
where,
Essos. It's like Central Essos.
Essos, yeah, which is the continent that Daenerys was on. For a
Oh,
long
was
time
on.
the other
Okay.
side.
Okay.
Where she is in the books.
But it's they talk about it because when you ride too close to Valeria, it's a mess.
Well, or if
Or
you
is
go
it?
there, like you and Greyjoy, you get yourself a fucking Valerian steel armor set, which nobody has.
Right.
Like, oh, he's a fucking bastard.
So how badass is this, right? You're talking like we were just talking about Shardplate, right?
Right.
Shardplate doesn't exist. You could say that Valerian steel weapons are a little bit like Shardblades.
Shard blades. Yeah.
And then he goes over, and he's like, screw it, I'm going to Valeria, why not? A Valerian armor set?
yeah, he's got a full set of armor.
That's
in Valerian
so
steel.
badass.
It
now,
is-
that's not revealed in the show.
No, that's not revealed in the show. It's not even revealed in the books. It's one of the chapters that he's released, and he has since withdrawn the chapter. So
He
you
might
can
change
find,
it.
you can find Mercy. You can find Barristan the Bold. You can find.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
First two chapters, I want to say, of Ariana. Did I say Barristan? So,
You said Barristan, Selmy.
No, not Victorian. Tyrion. You get an episode of Tyrion, which is awesome. God, he's just so fucking entertaining. He
Yeah.
joins the Second Sons, drops a drop of blood into the ink because they used to sign it in blood. He's like, I'm a stickler for tradition.
Amazing. All right, so they decide to relocate. And they
They lived there for after the Doom. They lived for about I want to say 100 years.
well, they didn't
or so.
immediately try to take over.
No, they didn't.
Wow.
No,
They
it
just
was
hung
quite a
out.
few generations, and it was Aegon who kind of just one day was like, "Yeah, I'm going to take over the Seven Kingdoms." And again, I think that was a really brilliant move on his part because when you think about how self-centered Valerians were,
Yeah.
and you look at Volantis and them trying to take over, it's like they're trying to fill the void that you can't possibly fill. You know, like Valeria extended to what it was because they had dragons.
Yep.
They could react, they can keep expanding. I mean, that you can't speak enough about it. And
Yeah.
Anytime you try and take over that kind of land, it's just the logistics make it impossible. It's just too fucking big.
Yeah.
So I think everybody in that family really was looking to the past and to emulate the past, and he sat there and he forged a new future.
Yeah.
Which props to him. Again, it's one thing to sit there and try and do what everybody else has done, and it's another thing to sit there and like envision another future. Forging the Seven Kingdoms together, which he did a pretty good job of. Didn't get all of them, but
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think we're going to close out this episode and start part 2. And also, that way, our historian can make a new martini.
thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We will have it more often. And again, this is your host, JP, aka The Demon, on Lit Literature. And you can find us on pretty much all the social media at Lit Literature or Lit Literature 1. Correct? And also, we have...
You can find me.
Lyket.net. Lyket.net.
Oh, yeah. Lyket.net.
Just look for lit literature on Lyket.net.
And then
there'll be a
also our
link to all of it.
historian's Twitter handle.
Drunk ASOIAF historian. Just make sure. History. Drunk ASOIAF history.
Yeah. So, sorry, folks. We're a bit old and we're figuring that shit out. All right, cheers.